The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, welcome to Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to review an episode that comes from Darth Garas. Quite a while back, Darth Garas requested this episode, and we're going to be doing Elementary Dear Data. Sarah, first thoughts?
First thoughts. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen this one. I think I've seen Ship in a Bottle, which is the sequel to this episode, about 5 or 6 times since the last time I saw it.
And what do you think of it now?
Ship in a Bottle is so much better than
It
this.
is quite a bit better. I agree.
But, you know, I just remember the first time I saw this episode and was so blown away by it. Because I watched this actually pretty early on when I was first starting to watch Next Gen and Star Trek and all that, and was just blown away by the story, and now I'm coming back to it with a little bit different perspective.
I think a lot of that potentially has to do with the fact that Ship in a Bottle did what this episode ought to have done. Mm-hmm. And I think this episode presents the ideas that finally get payoff.
Yeah.
In Ship in a Bottle. And frankly, this episode probably would have remained up there in my list of good data episodes had it not been for Ship in a Bottle. And frankly,
Sure.
I'm kind of impressed that Ship in a Bottle ever even happened. Usually, you'll get an episode like this, and if there is a retread, it's not always done in a way that you'd want it to be. You know what I mean? A lot of times it'll just be just a retread. And it's almost as if somebody looked at this episode, and I had to go back and look at the writers because I'm not sure who did Ship in a Bottle. But in a lot of ways, it seems like they looked back on Elementary Dear Data and said, ooh, we didn't quite go far enough with that, did we?
Yeah.
First of all, here's a character and an actor who's amazing.
Yeah.
And second of all, we didn't take it far enough.
No, we got to the end of it, and I was really enjoying myself, and then there's no showdown with Moriarty, and I was like, wait a second, oh, this isn't Ship in a Bottle.
Did you feel a little bit like you're watching Brothers? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Lore sings his little ditty, and then poof, he's gone.
And then, it's just, there's nothing, it's like a 5-minute wrap-up, but...
Lore in Brothers seems a little scary for a second. After all, he pretends to be Data, you know, again, and then poof, he's gone. And it's because, and this episode, I have the same problem with, which is why I bring it up. It's because the first half of the episode is nearly superfluous. Now, it's not bad. It's just
fun.
It's just, I feel like you nearly could have started this episode in the middle. And then taken it to its...
So you think maybe it's possibly just a pacing issue in the story?
Yes.
Where they could have condensed the first part, especially all the times when they're trying to get Data to actually solve a mystery.
Yeah, it's almost as if Brent Spiner is, and I don't know if this is true, but it's almost as if Brent Spiner is like, I really want to do Sherlock Holmes as Data. And they're like, okay, we'll just write an episode where you get to do a lot more of that than you did in Fourth Season when you were just pretending to be Sherlock Holmes in that one episode and just smoking a pipe in the magic meeting room, right? And then here he does a lot of, he gets to be Sherlock Holmes for a while, but it's not, they're not really pushing plot forward with it in the beginning because they could have just simply had them walk onto the holodeck and then he solves the mystery really fast, and then Geordi gets ticked off and walks off the bridge or walks off the holodeck like he does. But no, they've got to go to his house, and they've got to look through all of his artifacts, and they've got to talk about it, and Data's got to explain who Watson is and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this episode was really trying to push more of an idea as opposed to the big story of Moriarty, whereas Ship in a Bottle is all about Data actually having a nemesis, and Moriarty, he has control of the ship. What's he going to do with it? What can he do with it? In this, it's just the idea of can Data actually solve mysteries like Sherlock Holmes? Does he have the ability?
Right, and all of the themes, which is kind of sad because that's neat thematically. Yeah. But the better themes are delivered in the last 5 minutes of the episode, and then later they make a whole episode out of that.
And that's better.
Because if you think about it, all the themes in Ship in a Bottle are brought up in that last 5 minutes.
Right.
Moriarty says, "I think, therefore I am." He echoes the exact same thing later. He says it again.
Yeah.
He also says, "I don't want to die."
Yeah.
And they tell him that if he walks off the holodeck, he will die. And that's everything that Ship in a Bottle is about.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, wow, this is really interesting. And then poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
Just like lore.
And I didn't realize until they saved his program that, oh wait, the episode's almost over, that we don't get anything else.
That's right. And I felt that way too watching it again because it sure doesn't feel like 45 minutes have passed by.
No, it really doesn't.
At that point. And once again, I'm not saying that the first half is bad. It's decent.
No,
it's not
I
bad.
actually love the first half.
Now, you are a big Sherlock Holmes fan.
Yes.
Let me say that real fast. You're
Yeah.
a giant Sherlock Holmes fan. And in fact, I find myself thinking that maybe we should have, and at some point, we ought to review the Sherlock Holmes movie.
Sure.
That came out around Christmas.
That'd be
because
fun.
Because you had a lot of interesting things to say about that. But anyway, Sarah is a big Sherlock Holmes fan. Has read nearly every story, right?
Yeah, a lot of them.
And how do you feel about Brent Spiner's portrayal of Sherlock? Let's just say Brent Spiner as Sherlock Holmes.
Brent Spiner as Sherlock Holmes. Well, they're just... I don't know. There's so many different ways you could go with Sherlock Holmes, depending on which stories you want to look at or which character traits you want to emphasize. Mm-hmm. And I think Brent Spiner was playing a bit of a classic Sherlock Holmes, where, okay, he's very British, and he's very, I guess, formal and energetic,
mm-hmm.
and he plays the violin, and so he's just kind of the typical Sherlock Holmes. He wasn't really doing anything spectacular or odd.
I love the violin thing, by the way, because Data
yeah.
actually plays the violin
Yeah.
later. In multiple episodes, and that's I don't know if that was on accident, but I kind of think it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I think the writers really dug the idea of Data enjoying playing Sherlock Holmes. It made them feel like it gave them an out to let him do emotional stuff, when obviously he's not really being emotional, he's just pretending to be Sherlock Holmes, and that lets him act that way. But
yeah.
I don't know, I like that.
I think one of the parts where he seemed most like Sherlock Holmes to me was when that guy got murdered. That random guy got murdered in the middle of the street, and he's like, well, this has nothing to do with what we're working on.
Walk away.
Yeah, because mundane cases don't interest Sherlock Holmes.
That's cool.
And so, to me, there was a parallel with Data in that instance.
That's very neat. Now, I thought that he got a little too, like forced energetic sometimes when he would think that he'd gotten the case all solved, and he'd start yelling and stuff. You know what I mean? And he'd be like, and then the thing, and the other thing, and like that is kind of classic Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But at the same time, I guess it's Brent Spiner doing Data doing.
Yeah, I think that would be a hard thing to try to keep in your head and to do.
And I'm not saying he didn't pull it off. I'm just saying that he's not even trying to really do. Now that I think about it, he's not even trying to really do what Sherlock Holmes.
No, but he's trying to do a Data doing Sherlock Holmes, just like you said.
I also really enjoyed the fact that Brent Spiner comes out of character in places.
Yeah, where he goes
Data.
switches between Data and Sherlock Holmes, where sometimes he's speaking in that very British accent, and then all of a sudden he's Data and he's being all...
And he chose cool places to do it, too, because there would be places where Geordi would call him Data, and then he'd start talking like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm not Data. Why are you calling me that?
Yeah. No, that was fun.
Let's go ahead and rate. What is your rating of this episode?
I'd say my rating's a 3. 3
Okay.
out of 4. The ending is slightly disappointing after going back after seeing Ship in a Bottle so many times. But the episode itself is just so fun, and the themes in it are really good. And it's still a solid episode, but I can't give it more than a 3.
I'm going to give it a 2.5. One thing that always bugs me in early Next Generation episodes is how much they act like the holodeck was invented like 3 days ago.
Well, yeah.
And I don't love that. And I'm not. And in fact, the thing I'm about to say doesn't have anything to do with why I rated it lower than you.
Sure.
But I do want to mention that that Janeway talks in Voyager like she used the holodeck when she was a kid.
I
And
think
so
that's
I'm
a fault of
somewhat
Voyager.
bothered by that sometimes. But I'm just saying, they walk in and they're like, look at the detail, it's so amazing. I mean, you guys have been using the holodeck for like a season and a half now. Knock that off. That's irritating.
Yeah.
I absolutely get irritated by Pulaski in this.
Really?
Yeah, because they're still doing the Pulaski arc of Data is not a person, and I'm going to take every chance I can to be racist, and I don't like that.
Would you call it racist?
Yes, I would call that racism.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
because they have already established that Data is a person and she is racist against robot people.
Fair enough. But, I always disliked that aspect of Pulaski's character, the way they write her that way. But I'd say in this episode, for me, it was always stomachable. I never had a problem with that. And, she's probably the least...
And Data holds his own well. There are places where she says something kind of mean to him, and he just sort of throws it back in this kind of weird, subtle way. Where
I
he's
think
not
the
really being
dialogue's
sarcastic,
written
but
well in this.
it is.
And they really have some good repartee and, play off of each other in that way. And I like the scenes with her and Moriarty. She's
That's okay. Yeah.
Pulaski, I think, is generally an annoying character. Not as bad as Beverly Crusher can get, but in this episode, she's good.
Well, thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And next time we will either talk about or review something. I'm not sure what exactly we're doing
Yeah, we haven't decided.
next time. And also, let me mention that it may be a while before we do another Treksperts, but we'll be back soon. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come.